Ahoy there, Admiral. Your crew has assembled to sail the skies in search of adventure, glory, and treasure. But the admirals in the rest of the fleet are intent on snatching up more than you can. Outmaneuver them by maximizing the efficiency of your motley crew and obtain more riches than your competitors. Welcome to Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest. Choose one side of the island board to play. The side with white clouds on the loot chart is easier and friendlier than the side with black storm clouds. Alternatively, replace all these spaces on either side with a random selection of loot tiles. Put all loot tokens in the bag. Give each player an unshuffled sequential set of 40 character cards, the matching graveyard tile, and a score dial set to 0. Score dials should always be kept face up on the table for all to see. Regardless of your player count, mix all 6 reputation tokens up and randomly place them from left to right on the reputation track. In a 2-player game, place the active player tokens randomly on the 3rd and 4th spaces of the track first, then fill in the rest. Also in a 2-player game, cover the 2nd and 3rd spaces of the island with the midshipman. The game is played over a series of 3 voyages, or rounds. The first voyage will take 4 days, and each subsequent voyage takes 1 day longer. Before each voyage, randomly draw loot tokens from the bag to place on the day spaces for that voyage. Each day should have a number of loot tokens equal to the number of players, or, in a 2-player game, 3 loot tokens. Choose one player, and only one player, to shuffle their character deck, then draw and reveal 6 cards. Everyone else then picks through their respective deck to find the same 6 cards. You may all then hide your cards from the other players. This process is easiest if the same player shuffles and draws 6 cards for each voyage, and everyone else keeps their cards in numerical order. At the end of every voyage, you'll have some character cards left over. So, for voyages 2 and 3, you'll be adding 6 new cards to the ones still in your hand at the end of the previous voyage. Each player takes doubloons from the supply according to the number shown below their current space on the reputation track and places them on the table in front of them. The number of doubloons each player holds is always public information. At the start of each day of the voyage, all players simultaneously select a character card from their hand and place it face down on the table in front of them. Once all selections are finalized, reveal all played cards and place them on the island from left to right in ascending numerical order. If any of the same characters are played, ties are broken according to the reputation track. You'll then resolve the daytime, dusk, and night phases for the day. Moving left to right across the island, each player activates their respective character's daytime abilities, delineated with a yellow sun. Unless an ability specifically uses the word may, you must activate your character's ability. At dusk, moving right to left across the island, each player takes the following steps. Gain a loot token from the current day, unless otherwise stated by your character. Activate Dusk abilities for your character and the newly acquired loot token, if they have any, indicated by a red sunset. And if your character hasn't been moved off the island from some other means already, move them to your ship. In other words, face up on the table in front of you. If any loot tokens remain on the current day when the dusk phase is over, put them back in the bag. Then, all players activate any and all night abilities on the characters and loot tokens on their ships, as indicated by the blue crescent moon. You may activate these abilities in whichever order you choose. In a 2-player game, there is 1 extra loot token available each day, and the midshipman covers 2 spaces on the island. Players always place their character cards around the midshipman according to his rank. If your character is the only one played with a rank of 20 or less, you must place it on the space directly to the left of the midshipman. At dusk, your opponent removes a loot token from the current day immediately before you choose which one you're going to gain, and throws it back into the bag. After the night phase of the final day of each voyage, activate all anchor abilities on the loot tokens and characters on your ship in the order of your choosing. Increase your score dial by the number of doubloons you currently hold, then discard those doubloons. In the event your score exceeds 99 at the end of the third voyage, you may use doubloons to represent your additional wealth. Unless specifically instructed otherwise by a character or loot tile, put all the loot on your ship back in the bag, and all the characters on it in your graveyard. Do this anytime you're instructed to discard a card to remind you it's no longer on your ship. You are free to review the cards in your graveyard at any time. Keep the characters you didn't play during this voyage in your hand. Then proceed with setup for the next voyage. Whenever you gain or lose doubloons during a voyage, this only refers to coin tokens, not your score dial. Thus, you can never lose more doubloons than you currently carry. Your score dial should only be adjusted at the end of each voyage. And if a card or loot tile refers to an adjacent player, that's referring to the player seated directly to your left or right. The reputation track serves as a tiebreaker, typically when multiple players play the same character at the same time. Your standing on the reputation track can be manipulated by loot tokens and character abilities. When you gain reputation, your reputation token moves that many spaces to the right, sliding the tokens it surpasses to the left to make room for it. When you lose reputation, this process is reversed. If you're meant to lose reputation when you're already on the leftmost space of the reputation track, you'll lose 1 doubloon for each space you couldn't move. If you're on the rightmost space of the track when you're meant to gain reputation, you'll gain a doubloon for each space you would have gained. At the end of the third voyage, the player with the highest score on their dial reigns victorious as Galecrest's richest pirate, with the reputation track serving as tiebreaker. There's a special Automa rulebook included with the game for players interested in flying solo, but we'll leave you to peruse that on your own. And that's the long and the short of how to play Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest. Hey, thanks for checking out BNB Tabletop, the home of the Board and Barrel, a live show every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific where me and my buddies play board games. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. We like to keep things interactive with our buff and nerf house rules that allow you to influence the course of the game, and virtual bingo cards that could win you a free board game of your own. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll see you Sunday night.